Inn with the Escondido Police Department. Last night at about 9:30 hours, the Escondido Police Department was called to a residence on the east side of Escondido regarding a possible crime of violence that had occurred and been committed against a resident inside the home. We responded to that address. When we were unable to make contact with anyone inside the house, we forced entry into the home. Once inside, we found an elderly woman who was in her home alone, and she was dead on the floor. And it appeared that she had been killed by some sort of a violent trauma to the head. We conducted an investigation and very quickly identified Joe Stuber as a possible suspect. He is a resident of the home. He is also the adopted son of the victim. We began a search for his vehicle. He had been seen leaving the scene at a high rate of speed in his vehicle. After several hours, the vehicle was located here in Del Mar. We responded to the scene along with the sheriff's office. We've determined that the suspect took his own life, and he is inside the vehicle. We'll be processing this crime scene over the next couple of hours, but this pretty much resolves the case. It was a tragic murder of an 83-year-old woman, but the suspect came here to Del Mar, decided to take his own life, and we'll be wrapping the case up here in the next few hours. I'll take any questions you have.
Do you have any connection to the area here in Del Mar that you know of?
Not that we're aware of. There doesn't seem to be any connection other than it just randomly parked the car here.
Can you tell us a little more about him, his history?
He's a 46-year-old high-risk sex offender. I can't go into the details of his criminal history, but it is public record that he was listed as a high-risk sex offender, although that's probably not directly related to this case. But for the last 8 to 10 years, he's had no criminal record.
How were you notified about the situation in Escondido?
It was a family member who had received a call from the suspect, and he thought it was suspicious, and he thought he was concerned about the other resident in the home. So he called in basically what we call a check the welfare. So we went to that home and did just that.
Because scanner traffic, we heard that it was the father who had the conversation with Joseph, and there was an indication that he said he had killed his...
It was the biological father of the suspect, and they did have a conversation, but I won't go into the details of the conversation.
And that was after the murder took place?
Exactly, yes. That was what originally notified us to respond to the resident.
Do you have a sense from that conversation what the motive was?
No, we don't.
And we had heard from on the scene that it was that she had a gunshot wound. Can you confirm that?
The exact manner of death hasn't been established that I'm aware of.
And as far as how he died, a similar weapon or anything like that?
It's evident that he took his own life. I won't go into details on that.
Does that mean it wasn't necessarily a weapon?
I won't go into any details, but he did take his own life.
Do they have a time frame? I'm parked about 2 cars in front of him. My truck.
I don't have the exact time.
Do you know the woman's name?
I don't think we're prepared to release that. It won't be much longer, but I like to make sure that the medical examiner is okay with the release of the name.
How long has he been dead? Can you tell us?
No, we can't, but the vehicle was first spotted here. I'm sorry, I'm losing track of time, but I believe the vehicle was first spotted here about 4 o'clock this morning.
Who reported the vehicle?
We actually located the vehicle through a database of license plate readers. Once it got dumped into the system and we were periodically running the plate, it let us know that it had hit in Del Mar. So we began to search the area along with the deputies, and we located the vehicle.
We had also heard that he had some, Lieutenant Skye was saying that he was, armed, extremely dangerous, could possibly harm other people. But you said he had no criminal record over the last 8 years.
No, he didn't. But his behavior certainly he does have a criminal history. Although it's a number of years ago, it was a very significant criminal history. He's a registered sex offender of the highest order. He did have access to weapons. We couldn't be sure that, and we still aren't sure. At least I can't comment on the manner of death of the victim. So yeah, we had every reason to believe that he could possibly be armed, and in fact that he might, cause harm to someone else.
Was there a note or anything found in the truck?
We haven't even got into the truck yet. We've only looked through the windows.
Did anyone else live in the home besides the woman and that man?
No one else.
How long you plan on being here?
It'll probably take us a couple hours to process the scene.
Any concern for any other victims or contacts? Anybody you want to put the word out to?
No, this is a very this is an ending of a very tragic case. An 83-year-old woman who had stood by her adopted son for most of his life, ended with a very violent death. And it's a tragic situation, but this pretty much will conclude our investigation once we get done here today.
And who found the truck here and the license plate? Where was it mounted?
It was, I'm not sure which database, but it was a license plate reader. I'm assuming based on this location that it was a mobile license plate reader. And once it got dumped into the database, it popped up and we were able to find it.
So at this point, no history of violence between the son and the adopted?
Not that I'm aware of.
Had he been actually living at his mother's?
For many years.
Any crime history with him between the two of them, or any?
I'm not aware of any criminal history for the past 8 to 10 years. Anything else? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I'll tell you that, again, we're going to be all the way down there for at least a couple hours.
Okay.